I'm Kriti. I run a fashion label called Doodlage. Doodlage is a brand that started in 2014. We began with upcycling industrial waste, and now we work with recycling and zero waste as well.
Hi, I'm Sohaya. I have a brand called Chola. It's 4 years old, and I will just see where it goes.
Hi, I'm Akshat Bansal, and I'm the creative director and founder at Bloni. And we're a modern ethical luxury brand based in Delhi. And it's a two-year-old brand. And let's see where it goes from now on.
Hi, I'm Shweta from SWGT. SWGT was born 2 years back from the love from mountains and textiles of India. And let's see where this goes.
Such uncertain times.
Totally.
Hi everyone, I'm Stanzin Palmo and my label is based out of Ladakh and my label's name is Zilzom and we started 2 years ago. My brand takes inspiration from Ladakh's culture, its tradition, its beauty and the raw materials and in a contemporary fashion. Yeah.
Great. Sohaya, do you want to
Yeah,
start?
okay. So, Akshat, I'm throwing my question to you, which is how are you coping with the understanding of the current scenario, and how are you thinking of sustaining your brand through this?
Hi, guys. I hope you guys are really holding up strong for the better future. I mean, talking about coping up with the current scenario and going towards a sustainable brand future. I mean, I am a trend-based designer and pushing sales right now is feeling too forced, because we don't really know what's the future of social gatherings and events right now. So I'm looking at a bigger picture than just being selling clothes and getting into strategic and creative platforms for bigger companies than ours, somebody who works in masses, so that we can fine tune Indian fashion industry a little bit and bring our initiative as designers to bring in a better platform as a whole.
For me, I feel like I'm living in the science fiction dystopian film where going out is a potential risk to your health, where you can't see your loved ones to get hold them. So actually now that I got to thinking about it, I think as designers, we're going to have to be ready for like a post-pandemic consumer. Because I think the way they buy, what they buy, if they buy, is all going to change. So as and when we do start and we do reopen, we really have to going to be sensitized and kind of fluid to kind of, modify what we're doing to kind of match that. Of course, staying true to like our brand DNA through all of that. Also, knowing what they're going to want for us is going to be a process which is going to take time. I think we're going to have to observe consumer behavior and see where it's going. Like you said, you don't know where they're going to be going. Are they going to be parties? Are they going to be weddings? Are they going to be, our clothes going to have to be more functional, something that's maybe closer to your body, something that covers you more. You never know. And thinking of all of this just feels also so surreal. So for now, I think my immediate plan is to wait and watch, kind of to be safe, and then see what are the next steps forward to take. Also, I feel brand collaboration.
Talking about how web is going to be the new normal, I feel, but really remembering how web does not have a tactile association, so looking towards how do we come up with that strategy, because we're working in luxury and luxury has a lot to do with touch and feel. So working towards something which is more like a solution to luxury x dealing with digitalization, so something like that.
Yeah, I agree. I think I think we're also in the space to sort of, I think we're ourselves, all of us are experiencing it together. It doesn't matter if you're buying luxury, if you're buying basics, till the time it's about I think the fashion industry in general is something that people usually give up on so early when they are struggling with essentials. So I feel for us, it's important as a community to engage more and more with consumers at this point, to be able to show them the picture or the behind the scenes story, because for them to feel that it's not just frivolous clothing, it's not just I'm not buying another garment, it's about
it's
feeding
beyond.
so many people, right? We're connected to so many lives, and we're still one of the fifth largest industry globally to be hiring people. that I feel that it's time for consumers or for brands to engage with consumers to show them that, shop consciously, but put your, like, don't stop the industry, because that sort of impacts, or that impact would probably go a very long way.
Yeah.
And so I think my next question to, Shweta and Stanzin is that what are the current strengths that you feel that you'd be able to take forward in the post COVID times, as we call it now, like the strengths of your brands today, that you feel that you definitely want to hold on to, and you feel that these are things that would help you tackle whatever it is in the future, or whatever it's going to throw at you.
So, like with SWGT, our design practice is mainly uh, based on the phenomena that is found in nature. That's how we derive our shapes, materials. And from starting, our aim was to sort of make a product in which there's through and through transparency. That's why we make our own textiles, and we source our own yarns and everything. So now I feel that since I'm working with artisans and I'm working with people who already have who already are working in these small villages and actually are working from home and have the minimum carbon footprint, if you see in the world. So I'm finding that thing positive in a way that, they maybe the only barrier here for me right now today is that I'm not able to continue to probably make the fabric as that the couriers are shut, or I cannot supply them with the yarn. So I feel that that is going to help. And I feel I've always strongly felt about that the phenomena in nature and, the design practices, if we derive them from nature, it can sort of lead us to a better design and a holistic design. We totally believe, and in fact, everything that we do is based out of the country. We highly believe in the skill-based work from the country, which is the age-old techniques and everything. We'll continue to do that, trying to figure out ways to sort of continue that relationship, because the most important thing is here to sort of give work to the weaver and the artisans who is directly working with me. Because initially when I started the work, the idea was to not work with a middleman. So there was like a 2 years homework that had to be done, and to convince them that break down from this culture and work with me directly, so I give you continuous work. So that is something that I want to continue. And I feel that because this culture is so age old, I feel that working from home, because these people are already working from home, they get up in the morning and they have to weave, that's their, like how we get up in the morning and do our normal chores, that's their normal lifestyle. So I feel this is going to help, because this is already incorporated in their life. So the only thing, and second thing that I'll continue to do is, I think we never follow trends. We sort of have, we're always pushing to make our own design language. We're always trying to develop techniques which women, especially in India, who can handle a normal Sui Dhaga can use. That's how SWGT sort of grew and started working with women in UP or Meerut or Muzaffarnagar and these places. So I just want to continue doing that and continue to make timeless product and give the craft of India an international platform. Keep continuing to do that, even if myself as a brand I'm not able to do that. Like in March I did it through showrooms and agents. That's okay. The most important thing for me right now is to keep sustaining, even if it's just 15 families of weavers I have right now, but it has grown from 2 to 15. So I feel really responsible for them. And I feel that we should look into essential products. Yes, we are luxury. We are making high-end, hand-woven, hand-spun, products. But the need of the hour is that we need to understand that essentials are going to be important. So we need to go back to our design colleges, our learning, and sort of like bring in that what will be the essentials to continue to support the community of weavers and artisans especially. So that is what I'm going to continue to do. Push it. I mean, yeah.
I think that's fair, and I think it's a good strategy. And I feel that I think it's also the need of the art to be able to reduce our carbon footprints. And if you're able to communicate all of this story to the people who are buying your label globally, I think that's
I
extremely
realized
important.
that it is much more important to make the customer also aware now. It's
That's
just not the front picture. You said the right thing. It's important to show them what goes behind this.
exactly that you're supporting people and you're supporting families, and these are industries that are important for our economy to grow and scale. And I think working directly with artisans is and allowing them to, because a lot of the conversation around fashion obviously has also been what are the working conditions of the weavers, how much are they getting paid. um, it's not about just giving them work anymore and producing cheaper and cheaper products to be able to maximize on the marketing budgets, etc., or selling budgets or distribution channels. It's important to be able to uplift the people who are making the garments as well.
So my brand Zilzom, like since it's just been 2 years, but since our inception, we've always worked with the women artisans of Ladakh, and trying to use as much as of the raw material, the local raw material that's available there. Though it's very limited, we just have like few raw material like pashmina, wool, and like there are a lot of challenges, but I think our beauty is like trying to utilize the local raw material into creating something more contemporary, something of fashion which everyone can resonate with. And working with the raw materials, the artisans, and also the traditional techniques, we try and use the traditional Ladakhi, hand spinning techniques for our pashmina shawls and the
Sorry, in
woolens.
terms of the material, how do you like deal with the fact that it's all wool? Is it like, do you keep it in mind that there's a certain market that you're producing for?
Yeah, exactly. So since our raw material is like mainly for the winter collection, we can't have it in summers.
Yeah.
But at Zilzom, we produce like pashmina shawls with innovative techniques like hand embroidery, which has never been done on Ladakhi pashmina shawls before. So that is something that's a staple, I think, because not it's like everyone will buy a pashmina shawl because it's a timeless piece and which everyone's going to use it later. It becomes a classic. So apart from that, like in Ladakh, like we are heavily dependent on the tourism industry. Unfortunately, after the COVID-19, I think it's going to have a major impact, because I think the tourism will completely die because people are
For
going to
some
travel
time.
less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The time at least
Yeah,
the
so
vaccination for it is not discovered, I don't think traveling
yeah,
for
exactly.
leisure is going to be a thing.
No. Yeah.
Definitely not. So what we used to do was like we used to use the winter collection, the pashmina, the wool to create jackets and like our traditional Ladakhi dresses. So we already have a market in Ladakh for the traditional Ladakhi dresses, which are in wool. But apart from that, like the tourism used to play a very important role because we had clients coming from all over the world. So we had people, the buyers from Europe, even people from Dubai used to buy. So, more than I think the Indian clientele here, the international clientele respects, the handmade, the local, the raw fabric. Moving on in the future, we are definitely going to stick to our traditional roots of producing with the local material, the local raw material, working closely with the artisans, because I think in the future the brand has to be more meaningful, and it has to have a story. You can't just have like a meaningless fashion where you're just producing continuously with no meaning. So we're definitely going to stick to that. And for our summer collection, like how usually like how Shweta said, even as Zilzom as a brand, like we look for inspiration in the nature. So I'm really highly inspired by Ladakh's natural beauty. Like have like just a random print. It's gonna have a story about Ladakh. So I think we're gonna definitely stick to these.
I think that's very interesting, and it's very fortunate that you live in Ladakh and not Delhi. There's nothing to be
But
inspired
You can
from.
see nature to get inspired.
yeah, but I'm right now stuck in Delhi. But
There is very
yeah, let's see.
Oh, man. Yeah.
To Stanzin's thing, she mentioned that, everybody abroad or people who are coming from Dubai or Europe are sort of giving more value to the handmade or hand woven or hand embroidered or skill based product. And this has been the story since
For a
forever.
very long time. Yeah.
And I feel as emerging designers, I know this is a big design problem. And as Kriti also mentioned, to make people more aware, I think we should totally change the scenario, be it next 10 years or 20 years, till we are doing what we are doing. That
I think it's
Indian
slowly changing as
customer,
well.
it is,
Like
but
there
at
are
a very
people who, at a
luxury
very
point.
luxury level. I agree that people are getting a little more aware about. I think being so close to the artisans have been a drawback for us as well. Besides the fact that all of these skills are locally available, people have also started not valuing these skills.
Yeah, they find
For
any
granted.
value in a
They were like
polyester.
alteration, tailor, things like
Yeah.
they don't value their lifestyle. They do, even for designers for the longer time. It's been like what our brand has been trying to do, that it, again, like I said earlier as well, that it's not okay to just give a salary to a person, and that is our biggest challenge, that tomorrow every bit that we grow as a social enterprise, we want to share those profits with the people who make the pieces.
Yeah,
Because
being really ethical about it.
because that's the only way that, like, you cannot be so insensitive to the living conditions of the people who make our clothes, and it's been there forever, for a very long. Like, if you talk to any of your tailors today, they don't want their people, like their families, to become tailors. They don't want their families to join handlooms.
But it's both the ways. Like,
yeah, there are some who just love the fact.
yeah,
But it's not fair. It's just romanticizing poverty, that they're doing it because of the love of art.
Yeah.
Correct.
Would you do it for the love of art if you were not making enough money? We are all doing that right now, I agree. More like a social work situation. But in general, I feel that as designer, or as a person that like, the whole idea of starting Doodlage was to be able to bring back profits to people who make the clothes. Not like, it's okay for somebody who's taking a lot more risk, which is the founder of the company, to get a certain percentage versus the person who's making the product to get a certain percentage. But there has to be some kind of a system to get more equality there, I feel. And in terms of strengths, I think that's worked both in our favor and against us, to get back consumer to understand that these are still things that take time, even if it's the tailor who's altering your garment, or the person who's weaving your garment, or the fabric that you're creating. It's something that they're taking, like, there are artisans who we know takes about 2 months to finish, like a sari, man.
Yes.
And you need to be able to value that product and the skill that goes behind making it. And I think those are strengths that I think India has, and we would have to play a lot more on bringing that forth. And I think the world globally, and the consumer within the country is also stuck with us for now. Because I feel we should moving forward, one, while we're talking more and more about behind the scenes, how it is important for the economy, it's time for us to sort of grow locally, uh, within the country, in terms of where our garments are coming from, who's getting the money for it, who are our artists and artisans. I think we could play that to the strength of the country going forward as well.
For sure.
For each of our brands. So I'm hopeful and
Guys,
positive about these things.
I have a question for you all. As emerging designers, what do you really think are the changes for tomorrow? What is that productive, mindful template that one should follow for a better, brighter future? I mean, Sohaya, let's just ask you this question.
It's so funny. Every time someone asks me about my brand, I say how it was born like a little experiment with zero plans, and it kind of took a life of its own, and I've just followed it. I think I'm going to continue in this kind of non-aggressive kind of model, where it's more a go with the flow kind of plan. But for now, of course, you really need to think about stuff. But I don't know what to think about right now, But I would say, like I said before, what we did for my last collection, where instead of doing prints, I collaborated with my sister, and we hand painted on the clothes, whereby each garment is different. Each garment has a story. No two are alike. So I think I need something now to kind of get me back, kind of get me inspired again, and make me feel like it really is all worth it, and also, like I said before, to cater to like a post-pandemic consumer, to try and understand what it is they want. Because for now, I don't know what I would want. So I find it very difficult to kind of figure out what my future needs to be, what my future plans need to be. So I think honestly, I'm a little lost on that front. But it's been so amazing talking to you guys actually and getting so much insight. Because I started as a brand with no background in fashion. I haven't studied it. So it was very okay. I bought fabric and I just played with what I had in my head and in my heart, and I made the clothes. But the more I've been in this industry, the more I've learned so much about, like you say, the weavers, the artisans, about being sustainable. And now that is something I really want to sit down and think about and kind of incorporate it so much more, into my label. So that's something actually I really want to thank all you guys for. And even today it's been amazing talking to you guys and very optimistic. So thanks.
Yeah.
Zilzom, what's your insight about the changes for tomorrow and something really mindful that we can continue doing?
I think moving forward from this, pandemic, people are going to be more mindful, like how we talk about being mindful as designers, having our own style, our own, purpose for design. Similarly, I feel like the consumer, they also will be very mindful in buying, you know. They're going to be like, they're going to definitely see that, what are the brands, how are they impacting the environment, and what fabrics are they using. So I think it's time for like labels to, it's like everyone has a different story, but I feel like you should like really rethink what you're really doing right now and see how it's like impacting the society. Like you could do collaborations with NGOs and your local communities. I think moving forward from here, I'm definitely going to try and collaborate as much as I can with the communities of Ladakh. There's so much potential like in every part of India. So I think that's also going to play a very important role, moving forward from here. And one more thing is like, I think upscaling, I've like been, since my brand is just, 2 years old, I still haven't produced so much waste that I have, I have to like throw. So I've like, since I do prints, I keep collecting all the scraps and, in different boxes. So I think moving forward from here, I think I'm going to create more, do more upscale and produce, like small, what do you say, accessories or anything. Yeah, I think that is also very important.
To take care of
and yeah. And I think mainly it's going to be like, it's going to be more about collaborating, cooperating, and also like conversation based strategies, where we all can, like how we've come together right now. And in future also, I think it's very important for people from the same platform, like all designers, or like to just come together and like talk about these problems that are happening with each one of us on different levels and how we can tackle it. I think that's going to be more important, because economy is definitely going to decline, and we as a community, we have to come together and work together and solve the whole, what you say, the situation.
Yeah, we got to come together, guys.
Shweta, what do you
Help each
think?
other out.
Shweta, what do you think is something very productive that you can imagine going forward from right now that can really bring about the change?
I feel that I actually feel that we already discussed this point, that emerging designers or upcoming designers, established designers need to have a common platform for the communication, first of all. And second thing I feel is that there is no space, and there shouldn't be any space for unethical practices anymore when the whole world is doing less production and less buying. The whole world.
Right.
Third thing that I feel is that, the popular culture and us as creatives, the popular culture, we need to take the popular culture now towards slow living, slow this thing. And it depends on us creatives and all over the world, artists, photographers, anybody who's creative, to take this popular culture towards that. And that could be a new story for the world, And so these are the things that I feel are this is how, like, I feel it's going to shift, and it should shift. And there shouldn't be any space for any unethical practices anymore.
Yeah. Kriti, what's your take on something like this?
The post-pandemic world and
Post-apocalyptic.
the post-apocalyptic,
Yeah, it's
as
actually
Sohaya
post
calls
that.
it. Post-dystopian times
Yeah.
are very uncertain.
Yeah.
But I think the most important thing for us right now is one to stay positive about what we're doing, how we're doing, and I think we're all a lot of the stuff established. It's very nice and interesting to sort of see that most emerging brands and labels are actually talking about sustainable practices and how can we do things better, because we've seen things done in not the right way. So I think we're all sort of working towards it. We do say a lot that we should come together and have conversations. I think during this time a lot of people have been able to connect with a lot of people, which can be seen as a plus side of all of this. I think even with social distancing, thanks to social platforms, we've been able to have, like, I was on a live call yesterday with a global photography platform, and the whole idea for them was to engage with artists from all over the world to be able to
That's very nice.
have these conversations from whatever background they come from, as a filmmaker, what are you thinking, as a photographer, what you're thinking, as a farmer, what you're thinking. So things like that, which has never happened before. We were also stuck in our own spaces so much that we never engaged with anybody. We knew we met for fashion weeks a lot, but that's pretty much it. And I feel that that's something that we should continue, genuinely try to continue helping out each other, because we're a very small community and of thinkers, and we should be able to help out each other in whatever way possible. And if the consumer itself is going to, and we, the consumer, are going to reduce the pieces that we are buying, it's important to tell them what they're investing in, and where that money is going and what it is going for, to be able to encourage them to spend it. It's not going to be easy to ask for a dime from a person today, like tomorrow, post dystopian time. So I think communication is going to be key.
Correct.
So I think it would be interesting to be living in these times and to also be figuring out what it's going to be like.
Or we can all just make beautiful masks.
We are in this whole rut of going to exhibitions, selling a lot of clothes, and aimlessly trying to make more and more money, because obviously we need to sustain our brands. But I think as designers, we really need to tell our consumers to forget about this whole idea of you don't really need to buy a trouser from me, or
I tell
like
them today
imagine a
also.
sari. Yeah, like imagining saris not without
I mean, I've
blouses,
never done,
but
I
they
don't know
don't really
how to do a set.
yeah, so that's something that I really feel it needs to be pushed forward. Say for example, even in my say the flagship store that I have, people go around, hey, I can't imagine what will go wrong with this, do you have something? I'm like, don't you have a black trouser to go along? And they're like, oh yeah, I mean, I can do that. So something that is really mindful, because clients and our culture has been driven like that our moms, our parents have been buying sets always, so it's become the culture that you really need to pick up like a ensemble, which is not really the way forward. You end up just hoarding into so many similar pieces in your closet, which is not really cool. So
I
that's
think
something
that's
that
the
I
lesson
really
everyone's really learned these last couple of weeks. Is that
I mean,
you
I think
don't
it should
really
really
need
be
as much as you
continuing.
think you do. We're so stuck in this rat race.
Everyone is talking about that you don't need
You don't need it. You don't need it. And everyone's going back to basics. Everyone wants to leave cities and go back to smaller places, live in smaller houses where just you have like more green, maybe a little patch of beach. So ultimately you realize the rat race and what you're actually racing for is not what you need. It's all you've all left it behind,
Yeah.
Kind of turning back.
Yeah.
So I think we'll just have to
it really
the need of the hour to
guys, post lockdown, we should really all meet, hopefully, and not touch each other, and figure out a way to really communicate. I'm actually forgetting how I will face all the people that I love, because I've forgotten just to act, it's just strange. So
Yeah, it's very
looking forward
strange.
to getting back to meeting everybody.
We should do these more Zoom calls. I don't know when this will end. I'm feeling so good today. Today,
Yeah.
after like 2 months, I
Take
wore
it to
something,
Gupta.
not a kanji or a night suit, to talk to you
I
guys.
know, I put on a necklace.
I mean,
Oh my
I only
god!
one.
But you were living in Goa, so we can understand.
Yeah, no, but you still feel it's still a very like this constant thought at the back of your head, what's gonna happen, how's it gonna
Correct.
happen, is my mom
Yeah.
okay, is my baby go, it is a fear that we're living with, no, and there's all these conspiracy theories coming around
Oh my
also.
god!
It's
I think media needs to sort of
calm down.
calm down, man.
What do you really think about gender neutral going forward as a culture, as an moving towards not thinking about human interests and how we all have perceived men's and women's clothing, and really making it a cult and not just a fad, that it's something which is something possible? Because when you talk about kurtas in general, or like when you talk about lungis, it's something which is super gender neutral,
Yeah.
right? So what do you think is the future? Is that really the future and a part of sustainability as a whole?
I think it's a very personality based
Yeah.
ideology that, like, for example, I know that, and I say this from only the experience of engaging with so many consumers over the last 5 years, that it's really person to person. I know that I'm okay wearing a lungi and a kurta. I
Right.
know that Sohaya is happy to live in kurtas, but at the same time, I also know people who would belt that kurta
Hmm.
and want that shape in that
Hmm.
in the way
Mm.
they look, and uh, they see themselves in a certain way, and they want people to see them in a certain way, which is not right or wrong. It's just something that you're more comfortable with.
It's just how you express yourself. I don't even
Yeah,
think it should be a
and
film or it should be a trend. I mean, it's just what you wear.
yeah,
It
Yeah,
shouldn't matter.
because I think she's right. It's personality. Because see, all of us used to wear. I used to pick up my dad's old those
yeah,
patla sa kurtas and wear
and
them.
they're
Kept taking it.
great, the mal kurtas.
Thermal kurtas and
Yeah.
And
people
also
don't.
as a brand, it's actually completely, up to your design philosophy. If you
Yeah.
can sell it to as a product that you can wear in so many ways, and making that a more
And share,
sustainable, yeah,
Yeah.
and make it, bring a communication of sustainability and sharing through it. I think
Mm-hmm.
that sort of, again, it all lies in the communication and selling the product the way you do. So when you create like a gender neutral or shapeless product, you can style it in so many other ways. Like you were saying,
Mm-hmm.
a version of a lungi or a version of a sari, because you know that you buy one product and wear it in
Different ways.
different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Similarly, you get like a longer kurta, which you can wear, I can wear, anybody else can style it differently and wear, and that is how you pitch the product. So you
Mm-hmm.
need, say, 10 such products to make 50 different looks out.
Silhouettes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
And
that
this
is
whole
how,
social dilemma of not repeating on social media is
yeah,
something
sort of
that
goes
Totally
I
in.
am
ridiculous.
Yeah.
really pushing forward to
How
tell
you
my
create,
clients. And
like capsule
yeah,
collections, that these are the only 15 pieces that you need to create next 50 looks, and you can still
yeah,
go out looking different every time, but you're not increasing the pressure on our resources to be able to
yeah,
produce that.
yeah.
So that's obviously
That,
a excellent way to sort of look at reducing what you own and
mhm.
styling more.
Thank you
Okay,
so
guys, it
much. It
was
was
really great talking
amazing
to you
talking
all.
to you guys.
Senor, thank
Same
you.
here.
Let's keep
See
in touch
ya.
and all the best.
Thank
And
you.
stay
Same to you. Let's keep
Ciao.
in touch.
Bye,
Bye.
guys. Take care.